So we're challenging ourselves with this Nodevember stuff, so I'm going to challenge myself to talk a little bit more about these projects. I mean, I really phoned it in on day 6, so I was like, okay, day 7 we're going to try something a little bit more challenging. So I chose the letter R because it's not symmetrical in any direction. So that would force me to cut out kind of like an arbitrary shape out of this plane. Which this one, it was not too hard. You can use these compare nodes, multiply them together to create rectangles in this case, and then I'm just adding them together, which in that, this one's actually this is just a spherical gradient going into a compare node to make this circle. And then I cut it in half. So we only have that shape that we end up with. So basically it's just cutting out all these shapes and then I add them up. And I cut out a couple more shapes and added them in there. If you multiply the coordinate plane by itself and then feed that into a gradient, that is the shape that you get. So anyway, then I went about like making a metal texture and didn't do a super great job of that. Day 8, layered. I mean, I was getting somewhere with this before I gave up. You know, it's a little bit like too smooth or something. I didn't want it super rough. But there's this, I don't know, that was a tough place for me to get just right. All of these little in-between areas. I don't know. The render looks okay, you know. I like some parts of the texture. I don't like the others. The color could be better. Running theme with me. The color could be better. I think it's alright. It's pretty good. Let's maybe take a look at some of these layers we got going in here. This is just regular old displacement. We got some noised Voronoi going in here. That's how I make these recessed areas here. Let's see, what else we got? A little bit of noise, a little bit more noise, smaller. You know, like maybe if I bumped up the amounts a little bit, it would make it look like a different rock, though. That I don't think I have the reference packed for some reason. Many question marks floating over my head. I was like, I don't know what these colors are anyway. Like, I don't know. It's pretty random. And then, of course, we've got our multiply node at the back so that we can animate this here. Big ol' lovable boy. Day 9, Fluffy. Um, this is supposed to be a cube of bread. It doesn't have any crust, obviously, but it's just a cube of bread. You know, you're looking at the denoised version now. It's got a lot of subsurface scattering, so it takes a long time to actually render out. Regardless, it's not that great. You know, I saw this example last year of somebody making like a sponge or something. And I was like, dude, that's pretty cool. And then I never learned how to do that. So you're looking at my attempt at something like that, I guess. I was favoring Voronoi this day, I guess. And, it's not great, I know. But part of the thing is that, you know, I just gotta put something up for every day. So, even if I'm not proud of it. Paint. I was like, okay, paint. Well, what I really wanted to capture was like, what if someone just kind of like mashed their brush down? You know, you get that little lip around the edge where they just like loaded their brush up and they were just like, pleek. So, I think, you know, this is fairly close. I don't really like the amount of noise that I put in this now that I look at it later, but what are you gonna do? Again, it's okay. Prehistoric. Now this one I actually like. There's a lot to like about this. I have two main gripes. One's pretty minor, one's kind of major. The first one is this kind of, I mean, this was in the reference photo. There was just like some kind of particulate on it. But I didn't do a good job of representing this. And if I had spent more time, maybe this would be better, but you get what you get. The minor complaint is that I just wish that this were pointier. You know, this is a pretty worn down tooth for how long it is. But overall, I mean, I really like this. I think that the subsurface stuff that's happening really is really good. I'm even alright with what's going on down here. This is not bad. Pretty good. Oh, I forgot to go over like anything. What's this? I'm glad you asked. So I created some masks here, and I'm using those to drive, well, this one, whatever. I created a mask here, and I'm using it to drive the scale on this displacement, where just a bunch of noise gets added up to create the texture on the bottom of this tooth. Apart from that, I think the only really, like, interesting thing is the way that this color ramp gives us this kind of veinous, almost, structure. Which is not exactly how the reference photo looked, but it was pretty close, and, you know, I'm happy with it. I'm happy with the way it looks once all of the colors are mixed together. And, for once, I think the color looks good. Again, we're not talking about the tartar. Now we pop over to Geode. Or, I mean, this was what? Ancient? Does this look ancient to you guys? I saw an example at one point of a geode. I think it was in last year's stuff, and I was like, "That's cool. I could do that." And this is the one that I picked for that. It turns out that, like, making a good-looking gem when other parts of your mesh are not using the same shader is problematic, because whenever light enters the mesh, I think it gets messed with on the back-facing parts of the, Anyway. So yeah. This I think turned out pretty well. I think that the gemstone-y, I don't even know, like, exactly. I wasn't making anything in particular, so it's not like my typical thing. I was just like trying stuff out more. So we get this mask. This is just a Voronoi texture. It's at 1.6 scale, so it's like ridiculous compared to this model. And if we just clamp up our, if we just choke up on our color ramp here a little bit, we get this effect. When we throw it into a displacement. And I've actually split off of here and divided that 1 over the value to get the reciprocal. Clamped. Thanks CG Matter. Then inverted that to get a mask to drive the scale for my other displacement, where I'm apparently like, oh yeah, I'm subtracting out some noised Voronoi to create the cracks there. I think the rest of this is probably just noise textures. Oh my god, what just happened? Okay. I think probably the rest of this is not going to be that interesting. Oh, well, I mean, I was just kind of picking random colors, just whatever color, and mixing it together, and then I just kind of like desaturated it a little bit, and that's the crust. I don't know. It's pretty hideous, but I mean, you know, that's what you find. See, I wish that, I mean, part of it is that I don't have an HDRI, so I'm not going to have any reflections. I'm just using some area lamps to get some play off of the surface. If I had an HDRI, then maybe a material with higher transmission would make sense here. But whenever I had that material on it, it wasn't looking so great. I think that's it for that one. I think that might be it for this video, actually, because I'm tired of sitting here and talking.